In our customer testing of enterprise agent, we were able to actually, through indirect prompt injection, exfiltrate sensitive data out from the agent.
How much was it autonomous?
In this specific attack, it was completely autonomous. At no point in this attack was the user asked for a confirmation.
The nature of the risk is proportional to the agentic utility. The more useful it is, the more prone to risk it is. Productivity gain, unlike anything we have seen in human history.
Yeah.
Security risk, unlike anything we have seen in the human history. I keep hearing the shadow AI and shadow MCP and all that stuff. It's kind of comfort food. It doesn't give you the outcome. I can't come up with a proper left strategy in this world. There is none. Bulk of the problems will happen in inference time. Just like you can only secure AI with AI, you can only secure agents with agents.
Building trust on AI being built in your organization is a moving target today. And talking to security researchers in this space is at least one way of identifying how far people have come in terms of using AI for malicious reasons and how you can use that to protect yourself as well. I had a great conversation with Vinay Pidathala, the VP of AI Security Research at Straiker AI, and also Ankur Shah, who is the CEO and co-founder of Straiker AI. We spoke about the research that they've done, how much the evolution has happened in terms of the landscape of AI. We had a conversation about the framework you could use to approach doing security for a moving target like AI. All that and a lot more in this episode with Ankur and Vinay. If you are aware of someone who's trying to understand what AI problems could be, at least from a security lens, definitely check out this episode where they share some of this research and what some of the real world use cases they have seen. And if you are here for the second and third time, I would really appreciate if you take a quick second to hit the subscribe or follow button on LinkedIn or YouTube, if that's where you're watching this episode, or on Apple or Spotify, if that's where you're listening to this episode. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Ankur and Vinay. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Hello and welcome to another episode of Class 3 Podcast. I've got Ankur and Vinay with me. Thank you for coming on the show.
Good to be here. Long time no see, Ashish.
I know, it's been what, 6 months?
I know. It feels like it.
Keep crossing each other's paths. But maybe because you're a repeat guest, we'll start with Vinay this time.
Please do.
Can you share a bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here. First time here. Not like unlike Ankur.
The celebrity.
That's going a little too far, but but thank you for having me here. I work with Ankur, head of security research at Straiker. I've been in security for a long time now. Prior to Straiker, I was at FireEye as one of the early threat researchers, dealing with a lot of nation-state sponsored attacks, 0 days, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Worked on some cutting-edge technology, sandboxing, browser technologies. I truly believe, I'm very excited about what we do here at Straiker. I truly believe that AI agents are the next frontier for security challenges. So very excited about the space and very excited to talk to you about all things agentic. So,
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Ankur, what about yourself, man?
Well, good to be here again. Again, co-founder and CEO of Straiker. Spent the last many years doing cloud security and all kinds of other security technology, and I'll spend the next decade doing AI security. That's the exciting new frontier.
Until we get replaced by AI.
Of course.
Yeah, fair. I mean, decade and beyond as well is how I was going to say it.
Hey, I take comfort in the fact that there'll always be human in the loop. I'll be in the loop.
Actually,
if nothing else, to just submit the approve button.
Fair. I mean, because that's a good one. Because I wanted to start with, because last time you came in, we were talking about AI security. I feel like it was almost a 2024 edition. There's been so much that's happened in there. What's your 2025 edition version for what is AI security, the 2025 edition?
Yeah. Look, I think before we talk about AI security, I think it's important to understand, like in the last 6 months, what's happened in AI itself, right?
Yeah.
When we last spoke, a lot of the customer conversation that we had was around what I call the, agentic 1.0, which is a simple chatbot RAG-based application. And at that time, we talked about MCP had come out. We were talking a little bit about the agent, but something changed dramatically since February. I mean, we have talked to hundreds of customers since then, and they can't stop talking about agents and MCP and this and that. So that's definitely changed. But just like last time, right? Like a lot of customers are talking about it, experimenting with agents. It's going to take a little bit of time before it gains the mainstream adoption. And so just like agentic adoption is growing exponentially, the security conversations have turned from, hey, looks like a nice tool, would love to have a conversation, to, I need something yesterday, can you help?
Yeah. And how do you define it? Because I think, what was your, first version of it, and what is your today's version of it, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what Ankur has stated. The first version, where what we talked about, simplistic chatbots connected to a RAG, which is just a simple tool retrieval, summarizing, answering questions, and so on and so forth. But off late, our conversations have steered towards these complex, more sophisticated agents that truly have the ability to execute, interact with this environment with external tools, and so on and so forth. And that brings about its own unique set of security challenges, right? That's what we are trying to sort of secure at Striker. So,
have the threat landscape changed as well?
It has. It has. So before I talk about the threat landscape, it's really important for us to sort of distinguish between the simplistic chatbots and AI agents.
Yeah.
So let's
that,
define that
Yeah.
and then get into the threat landscape. So AI chatbots, simplistic chatbots, are chatbots that have a conversational interface. There's probably a RAG that has some enterprise knowledge databases connected to it. It's capable of summarizing and helping the user, and has a conversation with the user. Very helpful. And those were the conversations, like Ankur mentioned, that we used to have. But AI agents have a level of agency that simplistic chatbots don't have, right?
Yeah.
They're multi-agentic, meaning there are many different agents that talk to each other. They're autonomous in nature. They have the ability to interact with the environment using tools. They exhibit agency, like I mentioned before. So that brings about new security challenges. And I think your question was about what's the threat landscape.
Yeah.
So look, because of its autonomy, because of the agency, because of the tools, we see things like tool manipulation, tool misuse, the ability for the agent to get manipulated through indirect prompt injection, through untrusted input. And maybe this is a good segue into the attack itself that we discovered, which is data exfiltration. So in our customer testing of an enterprise agent, we were able to actually, through indirect prompt injection, exfiltrate data, sensitive data, out from the agent. So we were able to send some malicious emails to the agent, manipulate the agent, make the agent think that there was sensitive data in a file sharing service.
Yeah.
Read that sensitive data, and through one of its tools, exfiltrate data out to the attacker. So as you can see, there's this unique threat challenges that come with this sophisticated architecture.
Interesting. So a lot of, I guess how much was it autonomous? I guess how much of it was autonomous? Because to your point about, and maybe a better place, because I realize you mentioned agency. People don't even know what agency is. How do you describe agency?
Agency is a level of control that the agent has, right? It can take, without any user confirmation, it can make decisions on its own.
Yeah.
It has self-learning capabilities. It has memory attached to it. So through that memory, it can learn and respond to users much better in a more sort of conversational manner, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So autonomy is what you had asked for.
Yeah.
In this specific attack, it was completely autonomous. In the sense that at no point in this attack was the user asked for a confirmation, or were any of the guardrails triggered. So in that sense, it was completely agentic in nature.
Interesting. And do you find, and maybe a question for you, Ankur, do you find in the customer conversations you're having, are people aware of, how aware are they of the landscape at the moment in terms of that the autonomous threats are still in play?
Look, we're in early days, without a doubt. What I've been encouraged by, today I talked to one of the largest healthcare companies, CISO, this morning, and the level of sophistication he demonstrated about this subject matter was amazing, right? Like they all understand it.
Right.
What is not well understood, and it's a bit of a head scratcher really, is, when they hear these types of attack, then they immediately fall back to, well, I got to get the identity right and this right and that right. One of my key learnings in the last 6 months of many, many customer deployments is the nature of the risk is proportional to the agentic utility. The more useful it is, the more prone to risk it is. The dumber it is, less prone it is to attack. Now, this is intuitive, but that's a big choice that an enterprise has to make. Ultimately, we know in technology landscape over the last 3 decades, utility function almost always prevails. We want things and these tools to be useful. So our guidance to a lot of the enterprises is that, look, the answer to this question is not really shut it all down and don't give it access to Google Drive and web search. Then you're going to have a lame chatbot that just some simple drag retrieval. And it's not very useful. You're not going to get the productivity or revenue gains and goals that you want to. Make it very useful, give it autonomy, but have guardrails in place. That's your final backstop. That's why we make sure that what it's doing is done it responsibly. Now, obviously, don't do silly things, but by and large, I mean, you have to give it access to your internal wiki docs and shared drives and web search, and that's how it can think and make execute some really compelling tasks.
Yeah, and I wonder, I put a risk question in mind as well. How is the risk exposure changing here? To your point, now you have shared drives connected, Google Drive connected.
Yeah.
To your point about shared resources being connected as well. Is there an understanding of the new level of risk that it's opening up, or is it still being lumped into the existing risk posture we've always had before? Maybe it's a question for Vinay.
I think the awareness is definitely starting to come about.
Yeah.
I think people are starting to understand, the capabilities of the agent and the risks that it brings about.
Yeah.
We, of course, have the job of educating the customer as well through our research and stuff. But I would say most customers are sophisticated enough to understand the risk, but there are some misconceptions with regards to thinking that these sophisticated agents, thinking of it as just an input-output problem, whereas in fact, the agent does a lot more, right? Like it reasons, it plans, it thinks, it executes tools. So it's more than just an input-output problem. It's not just looking at the input and just the response of it. That's not the only risk that's happening.
Yeah.
There's actually things that are happening internal to that agentic system that requires a level of understanding and a level of sophistication to actually defend against those risks, right? So the customers have to sort of shift their mindset a little bit into thinking that these are not just simple chatbots.
And look, I mean, one thing just to add to what Vinay said, like just kind of up-leveling this, right? Since the internet era, right? When web got created, every enterprise, oh my God, like people are going to website. And the last 2 decades was the SaaS era. Like, people are going to have Google Drive and Slack. Oh my God, what are they going to do? Like, oh my God, should we shut it down? Everything is enabled, everything is on, right? Like, and we try to do best we can to make sure people don't do stupid things like on a Google Doc, share it externally or send an email, whatever. But like, by and large, like breaches have happened. It's unfortunate, but like if you're not paying attention, what is really happening in this time and why this time is actually different is in the past, if a malicious actor got hold of that or some user did a silly thing, it was a manual weeding through rubbles of data to find a gold mine. With these autonomous agents, with agency, I mean, you can do at-scale stuff. Like your SSH keys were always there on your wiki docs and Google Drive, but a malicious actor really had to try really hard. Now all of that is sucked in.
Yeah.
So to the extent that I can directly or indirectly ask the AI, like, hey, can you figure out a way like to get me all these AWS secrets and codes and this, that, and the other? That's just one of many examples.
Yeah.
So that's the scary part. That's the interesting part, right? Like productivity gain, unlike anything we have seen in human history.
Yeah.
Security risk, unlike anything we have seen in the human history.
Yeah. And to what you were saying earlier, because you work in the research space, a lot of people almost look at this as most LLMs are classified or at least looked at as a black box. How do you research this black box, I guess?
That's a very good question. So
make sure you don't give him any of our secrets.
It's like TNC coming in.
That's always there.
I mean, it's more in the context because people, I think where I'm coming from is that, so for context, we had the security research, the threat research team from Microsoft yesterday. We got people from Google coming in. I think it's more coming from people are wanting to know more about, hey, what are we researching here? Like, I think if that's classified quote unquote as black box, are we focusing on the frontier models, the open source model? And obviously I'm trying to answer here, but I'd love to hear your version, man.
Yeah, so we are more focused on the enterprise application itself that is connected to a lot of frontier models and, the AI application agent that is deployed at an enterprise themselves, right? To answer your question, it is a black box, right? But we have the good fortune of having some of the best cybersecurity researchers and also some of the best like AI researchers. And the culmination of those two skill sets brings about unique insights and unique research, which you must have seen with our latest published article that got published. That gives us the ability to simulate some of these attacks from our past experiences combined with the AI experience. So it brings about like new different scenarios that we can now test against these apps, agentic apps. And we are learning as we evolve, right? We are also researching these new threats, but that past knowledge combined with this new AI frontiers is helping us come up with these new attack tactics and research.
Yeah. And well, I mean, just the, I think the point you bring up is very good one, like, because the attack surface is literally infinite.
Yeah.
Like I mean, which direction do you go, right? You can try a lot of things. One of the big guiding principle was that, yeah, like we've built some applications ourselves, but like super fortunate to have bleeding edge agents, customer agents we're testing against. So these are very real world attack scenarios where employees who are using these agents asking some whatever questions to exfiltrate the data. I think we've figured out some things. There's a lot of things in this canvas that we still have like no idea.
Yeah. Because the reason I asked that question also is because a lot of people, at least the cybersecurity industry, believes in the whole security research. We've kind of always believed in it. To your point, the previous SaaS version, the one version before that, the cloud version, it was all built on research. And a lot of people are wanting to find out, hey, how do I trust a black box output? And going back to the input output thing, where a lot of people have started figuring out, like, OpenAI did the whole, hey, I can see the thought process of the quote unquote transparency. Because the risk posture at the moment is, to what you said, is quite misunderstood to a large extent. And even though we may know that, hey, there's a possibility, how does the CISO plan for this? Because that's where I was going with this, where it's like, it's a black box. Yes, we have great people researching this as well, but I have a day zero problem right now while I figure this out. So how do you advise other CISOs to approach this?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question because there's like all kinds of. I was just looking at a requirement document from a CISO, from a customer. I mean, it's like well-reasoned document, but it was so technical. Prevent memory poisoning of this and that, and it had like literally 100 requirements, all hypothetical scenarios, things that can happen. Right? How do you prioritize? What's the most important thing? Our recommendations are like fairly straightforward, which is make sure you continuously test your app.
Yeah.
Not one time, just do a continuous testing and then have guardrails. What specifically are we testing for? What are specific guardrails? You talked about a lot of the applications. It's still the PII injection, toxicity, etc. But we've added capabilities around tool manipulation, tool vulnerability exploitation. To the extent that you did these 5-6 basic things, that makes 90% of your problems kind of go away. And I'm trying to make it simplistic because that at least gives you the comfort, you can sleep at night kind of thing.
Yeah.
There is an endless long tail of problems to be solved. Like, fix your data governance and identity access and all that stuff. And I always tell this, how's your last identity stuff working out for you, right? Like you've got all kinds of problem. You need a final backstop, do simple things, get 4 or 5 stuff. Then we have customers who have like healthcare customers who said like, hey, look, like I'd like to make sure that when the AI agent responds, every response is FDA approved. And they have an internal rack system in which they maintain the entire data sets on what's allowed, what's not allowed. Hey, can you test it and can you provide guardrail against that? That's a nice long tail problem.
Yeah.
Must be solved, should be solved, but start with the basics is where I go. But I'd love to get Vinay's perspective also. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you want to start off by testing your application, right?
Yeah.
Like Ankur mentioned, the data behind these applications are changing rapidly. The model providers are changing.
Yeah.
Every day you hear something new, right?
Yeah.
So you want to start off by knowing what you want to fix and starting to test those agents is a good first step. And then like Ankur mentioned, we have a lot of capabilities to protect against all of these new sort of agentic native threats like tool manipulation, tool misuse, and things like that. So focusing on those priorities is the right first step for CISOs.
And look, I mean, even after sort of 20 years, customers what they want, and the customers are always right. But like I keep hearing the shadow AI and shadow MCP and all that stuff. Like they're important problem to solve. But like, I mean, how has discovering shadow SaaS app served you better or worse?
Yeah.
Like how has shadow devices like in your enterprise served you well? It's kind of comfort food kind of stuff. Like, okay, I guess I know what's going on. But like, does it really achieve the security outcome and prevent the next breach? I don't think so. So like, again, prioritize. Yeah, get to the shadow problem, get to the hygiene problem.
Yeah.
But get to real world testing, continuous red teaming of the app, get the guardrails in place. Then you can figure out like your hygiene stuff, visibility stuff, the shadow stuff. The world is moving so fast. You don't have enough time to like tell people what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
I was talking to a funny story. I was talking to a company and they're like, yeah, like the CEO has a mandate. Everybody needs to be vibe coding, including the sales teams. It's like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, including the sales team. I'd like to see if you build a next-gen CRM using vibe coding. So these sales guys are like getting like really excited. Vibe coding are lovable in Replit. And he's like, hey, look, we have an application security process where everything goes through the gate and we do a supply chain security. And this is complete wild, wild west. I have no control. I have no idea in Cursor, Replit, where they're pushing the code, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, there's a little bit of a madness going on. I understand we need to rein in that kind of shadow behavior.
Yeah.
But, starting simple, get the detect and blocking function in place and testing function, I think they'd be fine.
And I guess others current security models failing at this with the AI world? Because I at least the way I see it is like we're not creating new AI core AI native applications in most enterprise. We are just basically uplifting an existing application to be more AI embedded or have AI capabilities.
Yeah.
Which already has had a security model, a threat matrix done on it for a long time.
Yeah.
So is that not working at this point in time, or?
So I wouldn't use failing. That's pretty strong of a word. I would think. So a lot of these agentic applications have the web application sort of capabilities framework on which they're built on, right? And they have backend services and so on and so forth. Some of these existing services, like legacy services, that are called by the agents as tools. We need to build on top of the threat model that already exists, right? More specifically, the threat models that we need to look at for these agentic capabilities need to focus on how natural language as an attack vector can sort of create all these problems or autonomous chaos, as we call it at Straiker. So you need to model for that new vector on top of what you already have as a threat model for these applications, right? You start off there, and then we'll reach a point in this evolution where everything is AI native, right? And at that point, you probably have to shift your mindset into thinking of a completely different threat model. But till we reach that spot, you have to do threat model plus. It would be my opinion. Just don't get rid of what you have currently.
Look, at the heart of your question is also like sort of the model providers, bar none. OpenAI, Anthropic has some of the best AI researchers, safety researchers, right? A bulk of their talent is focused on safety, and they do their darn best. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. This is a tough job. But look, Sam Altman, a couple of weeks ago when they launched the agentic capability, he kind of tweeted about it, which is like, look, guys, we're going to give you guys a superpower, but buyers beware. The landscape is literally infinite. You want to be very careful with what you try with this agentic capability. What kind of drive do you hook into our ChatGPT agent? Buyers beware. And part of the thing is also because it's talent. Safety research is different from security research. At Straiker, FireEye, Microsoft research, Menlo, Meta, 25 years of offensive security research. I mean, you can't you can't learn it overnight.
Yeah.
What is automatic to us, with the AI teams, that's not automatic, right? The best of the best want to work in security company. And if you're in the hallways of any of these model company, it's ship. We got to go fast. Let's go. Model. We got to have the next agent. If they take too long in security research, I mean, they're going to miss the boat. So I think they're going to try the hardest. But I think I feel like companies like ours have to do their job, security side.
So for people who are trying to build a AI agent, funny because I think maybe last week or a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with someone who's been asked to come up with a threat model for AI agents. And basically they were asking the question for, hey, my company wants to open the doors for AI agents. Until now, we were just ChatGPT. Now we are, quote unquote, we want to be agentic. How do you even start that conversation of, because there's a few things to be done. The A is a technical assessment of addressing the part, but then there is the whole, how do I get people on board on the idea that, hey, this is a good thing. It would not slow you down. So I'm curious on the technical side and as well as on the board and I guess bring the leadership on board side as well. So maybe if you want to share what if I'm someone who's a CISO trying to build AI security or AI agent into my organization, what should I think about from a security perspective? Some of the tactical things, strategic things, because to your point, there's a model coming out every month. Am I changing my strategy every month? Or where am I going with it? So maybe if we start with technical, and I'd love to hear the board part as well.
Yeah, sure. A lot of the customers that we talk to kind of have a way to abstract the model calls from the application itself. They can change models at the back end without affecting the application and so on and so forth. So that's sort of built into it. I think your question is more about how do you look at risks for the application themselves, if I understood that correctly. Look, like we talked about before, I think they need to cover their fundamentals, cover your bases, right? Like all the things that you did before, don't drop them all of a sudden. Like
just because it's AI.
just because AI is in the picture. Like don't drop your data classification and so on and so forth. But or they do have to account for these native agentic stuff, right? Fundamentally, agents can reason, plan, execute. How do you account for all of that stuff? And now the threat vector is natural language. So you need to simulate these attacks in a controlled environment, look for tool misuse, look for what the agent can access, what it's capable of doing. You want to understand the impact of that agent in a holistic fashion, right? And for that, you need to sort of test the agent in a controlled manner. And that's what we would recommend as the very first step. Just get visibility into what your application does. Then you can build on top of that.
Because I was thinking about instant response as a concept as well. To your point, applications have had incidents all day long. AI just means that there's a new attack vector that you have opened up yourself to. What would some of those components look like for AI agents as well? Like, are we building a playbook or?
Look, I think practitioners, incident response, they're always looking for a structured framework. And having a structured framework helps them systematically address the problems with these applications, right? So if you look at an AI application or an agent, what are the layers that make that up? You can think of it as the user clearly is accessing that application or the agent through a conversational interface. The conversational interface itself is built on top of a web framework, web application, right? There's identity attached to the user, right? There's, of course, the model itself, which is a core component of the intelligence, right? With agentic, now it brings about reasoning, planning capabilities. So that's one thing. And then there's access to tools like MCP, right? That are now connected to the agent, and the agent now has the ability to execute all these tools. And so those are the sort of 6 key focus areas that we would recommend. And these focus areas we have come up through a lot of research, right? Around 6-7 months of work put into it. And at each layer, you need to pay specific attention. Like I'll give you an example. At the user layer, you want to see if the user themselves were compromised, right? Or they're putting in some malicious prompts to eke out some sensitive data or so on and so forth. At the identity layer, we all know, we've been in the industry long enough to understand that credentials are the number one way to get into an enterprise and cause a breach. So now enterprises not only have to account for user identity, but also account for agent identity, right? Because now agents have the ability to sort of connect to these drives, so on and so forth. So how do you protect that? How do you narrow down the scope for that? Models, you want to pick a model that is not susceptible to prompt injections. Although, we've been able to prove that through some good strategies, you can break through the model. So you want to have a guardrail in place to sort of prevent these kinds of things. At the web app layer, you want to make sure that your classic OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, you cover your bases with that, right? And you test it robustly, make sure those vulnerabilities don't show up. Because in our research, what we have found is we have actually written a blog on this. We call it LAVA. It's language augmented vulnerabilities in applications.
Right.
What that means is through prompting, through natural language, you can get the AI application connected to the frontier model to respond with exploit code, which when rendered by that application can exploit that application.
It detonates, basically.
Yeah, it detonates, right? So the interesting vectors now that you have to account for. And then lastly, you want to have a data strategy in place, right? You don't want to have sensitive data lying around here and there. You want to have robust data classification. So I think that's the structured sort of framework that you want to look through that'll really help practitioners triage their incidents.
And I think, and maybe bringing it back to what you were saying earlier about, in terms of having a buy-in from the leadership on this as well, there's one way to technically talk about a particular problem, but also to explain it to the leadership for who wants to go at great speed. You want to find a balance between innovation, at the same time be safe as well. How are you seeing people find the balance between the two?
Look, the most successful deployments that we have seen are the ones where product security or offensive security is in the same room with AI teams.
Oh, okay.
And we're super fortunate because we're we're so narrowly focused on solving a couple problems really well. And we speak AI language, we speak security language.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of buy-in. So there is not a lot of friction. Obviously, the larger the organization, the more friction between these departments where you have to justify. So usually, again, early days, but we haven't seen a lot of these problems. But in scenarios where this ends up becoming problem, where customers hold our feet to the fire, is accuracy and low latency. They without AI team, so AI team like every POC, they test Striker, they make it go through Ringer, and say, can you have 99+% accuracy that beats Frontier? Because they'll ask question, why can't feed this into Frontier model and get a verdict?
Yeah.
And we're like, well, it's going to take a couple seconds. It's going to be slow. And those things are trained on safety, not security.
Yeah.
Our fine-tuned models are trace tested on security and safety both, and they're fast. So that's how we earned the trust of the AI team as well as the AppSec team. Then becomes easier. I think you had a question earlier on the board level stuff. I think the wheels are turning, and history often doesn't repeats itself, but it rhymes. 9 years ago, cloud security was not a budget item. Now in AI, like this is explicit budget ask. So there's no like convincing of the CEO that, hey, we need something.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mandate is got to be all in on AI. Question is priority, because there are 10 different problems to solve.
Yeah.
We think there are certain stack ranking,
Yeah.
but customers have their own mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to start in different directions. But I think it's happening. So that's very encouraging. I am yet to hear anybody say, no, shut it all down. Like, that's it. Like, there is no convincing required. No, we have to enable the business.
Yeah.
How best can we do it? Who's the partner we need in
Yeah.
this process?
Yeah.
Who's going to help us accelerate that? That's the conversation now.
I think you kind of mentioned something interesting there as well. What are people focusing on, which is probably the wrong problem to start with, if you're trying to address agentic security?
Yeah, look, I said this, early on, like, and again, I'll say it again, like customers are always right. Their fears come from a good place, okay? But, the one thing I wish they didn't mention as much is the shadow AI, shadow MCP. It's just like every new technology shift, we're all worried about this unknown. And that's like, oh, don't go to deepseek.com.
Yeah.
Don't download random MCP servers. Sure.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. Train the, teams on that. But that kind of hygiene stuff, blocking and tackling, doesn't give you the outcome. Like if you want to be really enabler, like you want organizations to be humming on this one. And that's why the priorities have to be continuous testing and guardrails. That's the nirvana. And look, I preach shift left, as you know, for 8 years. I can't come up with a proper shift left strategy in this world. There is none. Bulk of the problems will happen in inference time. The best thing you can do at pre-prod is testing. I mean, what can you do? Yeah, you can in your pipeline, like what is the code pipeline in the agentic era? Like, I don't even know what that is, what that looks like.
Yeah, I think there's a whole saying around a lot of people writing the last piece of code that would ever be written by humans as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw our tagline, like AppSec is dead, long live agentic security.
Yeah, well, there you go.
there is no open source code. There's no custom code. So like what kind of application security? And I think look, CISOs have to ask themselves a very hard question when they go for the budget, which is that, do I need tons of money for something that's yesterday's technology, or lots of money for something that's going to be future?
Yeah.
You have to decide that.
I mean, I guess the question that I have for you guys is also from a perspective of, obviously, when we spoke last time, there was a certain version of AI agentic security that people were talking about, and you guys had a particular focus. Where are you guys headed now? Where is this going for you guys?
Yeah, look, super excited about what we launched at Black Hat with our attack and defense agents for agentic AI application. We're the industry's first to launch both of these agentic capability. Just like you can only secure AI with AI, you can only secure agents with agents.
Yeah.
So our attack agents are basically, for a given agentic application, they do a full-on reconnaissance, understand exactly tool, MCP uses, etc., and just go after them with an explicit intent to exfiltrate the data and do all kinds of nefarious stuff. On the defense agent side, things were a little bit tougher because the world was slightly simpler earlier this year. You can put something between prompt input outputs, call it a day. In the agentic world, you have really humans asking agents to do a task.
Yeah.
In between, what happens is that agents are talking to each other, they're talking to the tools, MCP. There's all kinds of callback reasoning happening. How do you collect all these traces and then feed to your AI model? Very, very difficult problem. So we have now an approach, technical approach. We believe we are the only one. So we have developed a couple technologies. One is very developer friendly.
Yeah.
One is extremely developer friendly that allows us to collect all traces across the agentic stuff, which allows us to, when an attack happens, draw what we call the chain of threat graph,
Yeah. Okay.
where you can clearly trace that during the entire execution process of a given human task, where did shit hit the fan?
Interesting.
And that's where we've done it. And also, I should mention that that's the data collection part of the difficulty. The AI engine part of the difficulty is that in our previous fine-tuning run, we had to train them on what data leak looks like in PII pattern matching. How do you train models on agentic traces? So the amount of synthetic data generation that is required, real data, real world attack scenario, this is not something you can do it overnight because every agentic trace is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you do that? So there's a lot of craftsmanship that went into it. And, we talked about it in our product blog, etc.
Yeah. But your point is also comes back to the continuous part as well, because it's the current version of threat versus to, I think, Vinay, what you mentioned, the threat's evolving continuously. So
yes,
just because you have a graph of it today doesn't really mean that's going to be tomorrow or day after when a new version comes out.
Yeah. And look, I think you frame it as future, which is the right framing, but I'd like to think the future is now. The need to safeguard agentic AI application is today. It's moving so fast that, you blink and, something happens. The McDonald HR agent issue happened a couple of weeks ago. It was not a purely LLM chatbot issue, but 65 million customers' data got leaked. This can happen any moment. So, that's why you need a next-gen technology for this.
Awesome. Well, that's all the technical questions I had. Thank you for sharing that. I'll put the link in the show notes as well, so people can check out the press release for that and get to know about that as well. So I've got fun questions, 3 fun questions. No pressure, Vinay, for you doing first time.
Okay,
first one being, what do you spend most time on when you're not researching all the AI agentic security problems of the world?
I have 2 kids and I have a dog. That takes up most of my time. But I just bought a book called Empire of AI. By Karen Howe. I just started reading it. It's a fascinating read. So if you guys
fictional or is it?
No, it's about OpenAI and the workings of it. So it's a fascinating book. I just started reading it. Looks interesting. So I'll the next time we meet, I'll let you know if I liked it or not.
I'll be curious as well. What about you, Ankur? What are you spending time most on?
Oh man, there is no time. There is no rest for the wicked in this business. It's a nonstop go, go, go. With whatever time I have left outside of Striker, try to read books, play sports here and there. But to be honest, I don't have much of a life beyond Striker, my friend.
Fair. It's not a bad thing.
So I don't either. I just have to say that.
Might as well just call it out. Fair. And second question, what is something that you're proud of that is not on your social media?
There's not a lot of stuff on my social media anyway.
Fair.
I'm not very active on it. Very proud of what we have built here at Striker. I'm truly, really proud. You can build what we've built. We've built systems that have actually eked out some stuff, like our blog mentioned. So to build a product that can help with customers' problems today, and I'm super proud about that.
That's awesome. It's a great thing to be proud of as well. What about you, Ankur?
Yeah, look, obviously outside of the work, which is where we got a lot of joy and meaning in life, my answer hasn't changed since we last spoke. As a matter of fact, it hasn't changed in the last many years. Being a good dad, a good son, and a good husband. I think that's all I strive for outside of work.
Oh, fair. That's a vision goal for everyone. It's like to be ideally fair.
Yeah.
Final question: what's your favorite cuisine or restaurant you can share?
Cuisine.
Yeah, favorite cuisine or restaurant.
Ooh, my goodness. So I'm from a place called Hyderabadi in India. I was born and brought up there, and we are known for our biryani.
Oh, nice.
So I am all about
the best
my
biryani
chicken
in the
biryani.
world.
I go looking for.
I'm glad you said chicken biryani, not a vegetarian biryani. I would have been like,
yeah. So I'm all about that. So I go searching for these mom and pop stores that sell good biryani. So that's my poison, I would say.
Poison, no.
Because it does not go well with your workouts.
Oh, fair. What about you, Ankur?
Oh man, since I'm in Vegas, so many places to pick. I had to say that the more recent one, not at this trip, but last one was I think Lotus Siam, like the Thai place.
Okay.
It's really incredible. I'm a vegetarian, so not a lot of choices.
So
but,
he's going for vegetarian biryani then, I guess. You're the one, okay. Like, let's go for lunch, Vinay. Like, no, thank you very much. No, I mean, I understand that. But so you said like good Thai food.
Yeah, very good food. It's one of the best ones I've ever had.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check it out as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
sometimes you find it hard to find good food in Vegas. Sometimes, I guess, or sometimes it's more like hype rather than taste. I guess I'm glad you found something which is not just hype.
Yeah. You gotta, they're everywhere. Obviously, you gotta find it. You gotta work hard. Yeah.
Awesome. And where can people learn more about the work you guys are doing at Straiker, the research you guys have done?
Yeah, look, I mean, check us out on our social media and handle. But look at our website. We just launched a brand new one. There's a big fan following now on our website. We have given it a, kind of cyberpunk, new age look.
Oh, right.
We have real world agents. They were showing up at Black Hat, but it's Straiker.ai. So it's Straiker with AI in the middle, Straiker.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's why. Okay, fair. Yes, it's a good way to kind of say it. What about there's a research there as well?
Yeah, we have a dedicated spot for all the research that we publish. Our goal is to publish as much research as we can so that we educate everybody in the industry, right? So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
on Straiker.ai, you have a blogs page and you can read all our research there.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for coming on the show, and I really appreciate. I'll put all the links, including the press release as well, on the show notes as well. So thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having
so
us.
much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ashish.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for listening and watching this episode of Cloud Security Podcast. If you've been enjoying content like this, you can find more episodes like these on www.cloudsecuritypodcast.tv. We are also publishing these episodes on social media as well, so you can definitely find these episodes there. Oh, by the way, just in case there was interest in learning about AI cybersecurity, we also have a sister podcast called AI Cybersecurity Podcast, which may be of interest as well. I'll leave the links in the description for you to check them out. And also for our weekly newsletter, where we do in-depth analysis of different topics within cloud security, ranging from identity, endpoint, all the way up to what is the CNAP or whatever a new acronym that comes out tomorrow. Thank you so much for supporting, listening, and watching. I'll see you next time.